Coming in at number 10, Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller has been getting a lot of negative attention since arriving in Hawaii, but even before that he was accused of choking a fan that got a little too close for comfort. The 29-year-old was charged with disorderly conduct and harassment in connection with the disturbance at a South Hilo bar. As per the Hawaii Police Department, they said, during the course of their investigation, police determined that the man, later identified as Ezra Miller, became agitated while patrons at the bar began singing karaoke. Miller began yelling obscenities and at one point grabbed the microphone from a 23-year-old woman singing karaoke, which would be the disorderly conduct offense, and later lunged at a 32-year-old man playing darts, which would be the harassment offense. The bar owner asked Miller to calm down several times to no avail. On top of that, two Hawaii residents have actually filed a temporary restraining order against Ezra, claiming that the actor had harassed and even threatened them. According to the complaint, they claim that Miller actually busted into their bedroom and threatened the couple, saying, "I will bury you and your wife." As per the court documents obtained by Associated Press, Ezra is also being accused of stealing some of the alleged victim's personal belongings, including a wallet and a passport. But before we jump into our next point, make sure you tap that like button to show some love to the channel. Coming number 9, Travis Scott. The Astroworld Festival was meant to be a celebration of Travis Scott and his favorite park in Houston. However, the celebration quickly turned into tragedy, which turned to the downfall of his career. After proper safety protocols were ignored and Travis egged on a crowd of 50,000 fans to rush the stage, a crowd surge happened which resulted in 10 concert goers losing their life. In addition to that, hundreds more were severely injured, and now there have been 100+ lawsuits filed against Travis Scott, Drake, and Live Nation. One lawsuit is apparently $750 million. That one moment of him ignoring the obvious signs that the crowd was getting out of control led to all of this and truly kicked off the downward trajectory of Travis Scott's career. Coming in number 8, James Charles. James Charles released an apology video in response to the allegations that he had exchanged inappropriate messages with underage people. And typically in a James Charles apology video, he would shift the blame from himself to someone else, but James full-on admitted to everything. He even admitted to having engaged in a flirtatious conversation with two 16-year-olds, once from last year and again just recently, which was exposed all over TikTok. Although he is still standing by the defense that he believed both people were 18 years old. However, if we're going to be transparent with James Charles' intentions here, I would be remiss if I didn't also mention that this apology came after he was replaced on the show that he co-created called Instant Influencer. Coming in number 7, Kyle Massey. According to TMZ, who first reported on this story, Kyle Massey was facing a felony for allegedly sending, let's call it, R-rated material to a 13-year-old girl that he knew. TMZ also obtained some legal documents that showed he had been charged with one count of communication with this person for immoral purposes. The incident in question was believed to have taken place between December 2018 and January 2019. Apparently, it is also connected to a civil suit as well that took place back in March of 2019. At the same time, Massey was also being sued for $1.5 million for allegedly sending a lot of R-rated content via Snapchat. However, in response to that civil suit, he claimed that he was actually being extorted. According to court documents, Massey was scheduled to appear for his arraignment in King County Criminal Court in Washington, but failed to show up. Coming in number 6, Armie Hammer. If you recall, a while back we covered this insane story regarding Armie Hammer sending bizarre DMs, which exposed Armie for having a bit of a fetish for the taste of human flesh. These heinous allegations then resulted in all major film studios dropping the actor from any project that he was scheduled to appear in. Then several women accused him of heinous crimes, and due to the Los Angeles Police Department opening an investigation, Walden Media ended up dropping him from his role in the film Billion Dollar Spy. Although he did still appear in the film Death on the Nile, because an executive said that due to hundreds of people working so hard on this project, they refused to scrap it over these allegations. These are all though still shocking crimes to be accused of. I mean, these DMs range from fantasizing about enslaving women and basically torturing them like a vampire. One message even directly expressed this by saying, "I am 100% a cannibal." Initially, Armie Hammer called all of the messages BS, which fueled speculation that they had been photoshopped. In a statement to the press, he said, "I'm not responding to these BS claims, but in light of the vicious and spurious online attacks against me, I cannot in good conscience now leave my children for 4 months to shoot a film in the Dominican Republic." He then added, "Lionsgate is supporting me in this, and I'm grateful to them for that." However, his former girlfriend then came out and said that these allegations actually ring true for her. During an interview with Page Six, she said, "He said to me he wants to break my rib and barbecue and eat it. He says, I want to take a bite out of you. If I had a little cut on my hand, he'd like suck it or lick it. He likes the idea of skin in his teeth." She then went on to say that after their relationship had ended, she began having panic attacks, and so she entered herself into a 30-day partial hospitalization program for PTSD and trauma. Coming number 5, Shia LaBeouf. There's no question that Shia LaBeouf was loved by many as a young actor, and he even received a Young Artist Award nomination in 2000. He also won a Daytime Emmy Award in 2003 for Even Stevens, although Shia LaBeouf's career would soon take a terrible turn. In 2017 alone, the actor was sued for $5 million by a bartender, he was arrested in Savannah, Georgia for public intoxication, and he was ordered to attend a 10-week rehab program. He was also arrested in Austin, Texas, and witnesses say that the actor was blitzed, out of control, and disobeyed the police. Shia was taken to the Travis County Jail and booked for misdemeanor public intoxication. Shia, who's been to rehab, has been dogged by substance abuse problems for a while. While he has delivered some terrific performances in his latest projects, many fans can't stand his level of defiance. Coming number 4, R. Kelly. R. Kelly was being accused of nefarious things long before the Me Too era ever started. However, once the ball started rolling, R. Kelly was tossed back into the mix of those being accused of misusing their celebrity power. The biggest hit to the singer's career, though, was the release of the documentary series called Surviving R. Kelly. According to prosecutors, the case against him was brought forth on behalf of 4 victims who were between the ages of 13 and 17 when R. Kelly had taken advantage of them. As a result of this backlash against Kelly, concert venues started to cancel his shows, while simultaneously prominent activists and entertainers called for people to actually boycott him. Jacqueline Cassilis, the interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York who prosecuted the case, said, "Today's guilty verdict forever brands R. Kelly as a predator who used his fame and fortune to prey on the young, the vulnerable, and the voiceless for his own gratification." What's worse is that Kelly had an entourage of managers and aides who actually helped him meet these victims and keep them quiet about everything that was going on. His guilty verdict came after 21 days of evidence was presented, along with 50 witnesses and hours of hearing countless testimonies. And at number 3, Chris D'Elia. D'Elia was canceled and accused of attempting to solicit nude photographs from underage girls. A woman named Simone tweeted out a screenshot of her alleged interactions with Chris, which began a thread of other women sharing their interactions with him as well. The stories were all pretty horrific considering that they were all allegedly underage at the time that Chris had been sending these messages. However, in response to having his name dragged through the mud online, Chris told TMZ, "I know I have said and done things that might have offended people during my career, but I have never knowingly pursued any underage women at any point. All of my relationships have been both legal and consensual, and I have never met or exchanged any inappropriate photos with the people who have tweeted about me." In at number 2, Chris Brown. Chris Brown was lucky that he built his following early on before engaging in this nefarious behavior. I mean, his fans just seem to turn a blind eye every time he does something messed up. For example, in 2009, he flipped out following an argument with his then girlfriend Rihanna and chose to physically attack her. The image of Rihanna's bruised face was plastered all over the internet, yet he still did not go to jail. Then in 2013, he and his bodyguard were charged with a felony for beating someone up, but when he showed up to court, their sentence was reduced to a misdemeanor. The only time that he's ever done is 36 hours in jail for just beating someone up, and his probation for attacking Rihanna, which by all accounts should have at least been a felony domestic violence conviction with real jail time behind it. Instead, he was only required to check in with his probation officer and serve 1,000 hours of community service. Last but certainly least, our number 1 spot, Kevin Spacey. Kevin for a long time was by far the most demanded actor of his generation. His catalog of roles was huge and his fame made the actor seem untouchable. Then Broadway actor Anthony Rapp came forward and accused Spacey of forcing himself on him when he was only 14 years old. Following that, 15 other men came forward also accusing Spacey of a very similar experience. His career was pretty much canceled at that point, but Kevin found a way to just make things worse for himself. In his apology, he took a moment to actually come out as gay, for which the LGBT community denied any association. As a result of these accusations, Spacey was fired from the Netflix show House of Cards and was removed from the film All the Money in the World. Now the only acting that he's doing is on his YouTube page. That's been today's list though, guys. If I missed anyone, make sure you leave us a comment down below. And while you do that, I'm going to check out some of your comments from the video titled, "We Need to Talk About Ezra Miller Threatening People." Audra Lynn says, "Having fame doesn't mean everyone has to do what you want. If you don't like the entertainment in a bar, use your big kid legs and walk out. If this person isn't draw from Harry Potter, we'll know Hollywood is just playing games and picking favorites. Why can't people just act right?" Oh, we already know that Hollywood has their favorites, and I honestly would be surprised if they actually did take any action on this. I would be very surprised. Red Witch Hollow says, "Honestly, I think since all of this is on camera and has records, Ezra Miller needs to lose his roles at this point. There is more proof that Ezra Miller is violent and unstable than there ever was against Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp lost so much for so little evidence." You're exactly right with this one. Melinda Estrid says, "Perhaps they could say, if you want to continue working for us, we need you to see a counselor so he can get the help he needs. This sounds like a mental health issue." It definitely sounds like a mental health issue, and I think that it seems like a fair option. The problem is that they persecuted Johnny Depp without asking him also to see a counselor. So if they do that with Ezra, they'll still get bad press no matter what. Punky Brew Star 83 says, "You have to be Will Smith famous before you were allowed to go around beating people without any consequences, Ezra." Yeah, apparently that's how Hollywood works now, but Will Smith is also also facing more consequences, so hopefully Ezra will as well. Christy Johnson says, super funny to hear Johnny talk about Hilo. Nice job saying it right. Happy I pronounced it correctly. Shout out to Hilo. Watch I mess it up this time. That's all the time that we have for today though, folks, so stay classy, and I'll see you on the next one.